Satellites and space junk. Hey, is that a robot or another spaceship? Amir asked. The kids on the rocket were busy making lunch with special astronaut food. Amir just happened to look out the window. Oh, I'm glad you saw that, astronaut Musafir said. That's a satellite. It's out here taking pictures of Saturn.
Whoa!
Wow, said the kids. But aren't moons called satellites too? Asked Salim. You're right, said astronaut Musafir. Anything that orbits a planet is a satellite, including moons. What happens when satellites don't work anymore? Asked Hashir. Good question, answered the astronaut. They become space junk, but we try to send them into orbit where they won't bother anyone, or we make sure they burn up when they fall to Earth. Oh no, said Uzma. We're leaving trash in space? Well, sometimes, said astronaut Musafir. Someday we might have to clean that up. But satellites do help us learn about Earth and space, Salim said. That is true, said the astronaut.
Subscribe today, only on Muslimkidstv.
The world's water. Salam, kids! Are you ready to go?
Asked Mr. Omar, the hydrologist, the teacher who would take Salim, Uzma, Naida, and Amir on a field trip.
I'm so excited to travel around the world,
said Salim. Yes, and I love lakes and rivers. Oh, they're so peaceful, said Uzma.
Well, we'll be visiting bodies of water all over the world,
said Teacher Omar.
Now, hop on the boat.
The children boarded the boat. Then they all put on their life jackets. They were floating on the Mississippi River, headed toward the ocean.
So, children, do you know what is different about this river water from the ocean water?
I know, said Naida. The water in the river is fresh water, and ocean water is salty.
That's exactly right,
answered Mr. Omar.
Did you know that 97% of the water on Earth is salty water in the oceans? Only 3% of the water on our planet is fresh water that we can drink or use to water plants. Wow, it looks like there is so much water in this river, but it's only a little bit of our fresh water,
said Amir, amazed.
That's true. It's amazing, but true,
answered Teacher Omar.
It's also amazing to know how much fresh water is actually ice. Over half of our fresh water is frozen. Do you know where this water is? Oh, I know,
said Salim.
It's in the polar ice caps.
Like the North Pole and in Antarctica, added Naida. Wow, so that means that only a tiny bit of water on Earth is in lakes and rivers, said Uzma, looking out at the river in amazement.
Yes, isn't it incredible?
Asked Mr. Omar.
Now, where else can we find water? Look up,
he instructed.
Oh, in the clouds,
exclaimed Amir.
Exactly,
said Mr. Omar.
Water vapor is in the air and in clouds too. I'll show you.
The boat slowed down and stopped. The children looked around the calm river as the sun shone down. Then the children saw what their teacher meant.
Look, there's steam coming off the river,
said Salim, excited.
Yes.
Their teacher answered.
Soon that water will rise up and become a cloud.
Oh no, the river is making rain, said Uzma. I hope it doesn't rain on us. The children giggled.
Well, it's a very important job. If there were no rain, the water cycle would stop. When the clouds make water fall as rain, it helps us grow plants. It also feeds our rivers and lakes,
explained Teacher Omar. I know, said Uzma. It's just I don't want it to rain today.
I understand,
said the teacher, smiling kindly. But just in case, I brought my umbrella, said Nida, smiling. The boat reached the Mississippi River Delta. It was here that the river reached the Gulf of Mexico, or the ocean. There were marsh grasses and birds everywhere. What is this place? Asked Uzma.
We are in the Mississippi River Delta. Here, the waters are brackish, or a mix of ocean and river water. That means the water is saltier than fresh water, but not as salty as seawater. Many animals live in these special places,
explained Teacher Omar.
So, are you ready for our adventure?
Asked Mr. Omar, revving the engine of the boat.
Yes, let's explore the world's water,
said the children all together, jumping up and down.
Subscribe today, only on Muslimkidstv.
So where was the world's first hospital? Khalid asked, his eyes shining. The three children and their teacher sat in the large metal time machine. They were ready for their next adventure. Do any of you know where it was? Asked their teacher, Mrs. Habiba. Well, said Abdullah, I remember reading about a hospital in Baghdad. That's right, Mrs. Habiba answered. Now we just need the year, said Layla. She typed in the location. The year should be 805, Mrs. Habiba said. Khalid punched in the date. The time machine started to shake and vibrate. After a bright light flashed, the kids peered out the window. They saw a large mosque and a building beside it.
Whoa!
Many of the first hospitals were built beside masjid, Teacher Habiba explained. Was it really the first hospital? Layla asked. Well, it was the first hospital with real doctors who tried to help people get better, Mrs. Habiba said. What were the other hospitals like? Asked Abdullah. Before the Muslims built hospitals, Christian monks took care of sick people. But they didn't try to help them get better, they just made sure they weren't alone and prayed with them, Teacher Habiba explained. The Muslims were the first people to use medicine to treat sick people in hospitals, Teacher Habiba continued. Do you know what the Prophet Muhammad said about illness? I know, said Layla. It's in the Hadith. God never inflicts a disease unless he makes a cure for it. Very good, Layla, Teacher Habiba said. Let's look around, said Khalid. The children and their teacher walked closer to the big hospital building. They saw people walking around carrying baskets of food, herbs, and water. Who built this hospital? Asked Abdullah. Harun al-Rashid. But we actually don't know a lot about this first hospital. Soon after, many more hospitals were built, answered Mrs. Habiba. Are those people doctors? Asked Layla, watching some men walking in the door. Maybe, answered their teacher. They could also be students. At some point, the early Muslim hospitals became places where students learned how to be doctors. Just like today, Khaled said. We should probably get going, Teacher Habiba said. Where will we go next? Asked Abdullah. Wherever we go, let's find some food, Layla said, rubbing her belly. They all laughed as they climbed into the time machine.
You are watching Muslim Kids TV. Subscribe today, only on Muslim Kids TV.
Unlock the love of Islam in your children and open their imagination and hearts. Muslim Kids TV brings together thousands of the best animations, videos, games, ebooks, and Islamic resources for you and your family.
I am a Muslim. I am a Muslim. Let's go! I am a Muslim. Look at me. I am kind.
Enjoy the best Islamic children's animations and videos exclusively on www.muslimkids.tv.
I am a Muslim. Look at me. I am a Muslim. I am a Muslim. I am a Muslim. I am a Muslim.
Stimulate your child's learning with the largest collection of Islamic-themed video games.
Ramadan has come and gone. Eid has dawned upon us. Thank you, Allah, for this day.
Thousands of ebooks celebrating the Islamic history, culture, and values.
Thank you, Allah, for this blessed day. Eidun Sa'idun, Yawmun Farhanun.
Unleash your child's creativity through endless hours of to-do-it-yourself activities. Keep the Quran close to their hearts with our special Quran app.
Muslims are singing praises to Allah.
Muslim Kids TV is developed by leading educators and supervised by a community of religious scholars from around the world.
Al-Fitr, can you think of anything neater than parties in the streets, hugging friends and so much to eat? The food's much sweeter now that Ramadan's completed.
Loved by families, educators, and especially children.
Come celebrate Eid with me. It's time to have a big party. Wear nice clothes and eat some.
Muslim Kids TV is available where you want it and when. Enjoyed on mobile, web, and on leading smart TV brands. Your whole family can watch anytime, anywhere.
I am a Muslim. I am a Muslim. I am a Muslim.
Muslim Kids TV, building a better Muslim generation.
Look out the window as we pass these ocean mountains,
said Teacher Zara. The children and their teacher had just been exploring the deep ocean in their submarine. Now they were headed back up to shallower waters.
We're at about 300 feet below now,
Explained the teacher.
It's still pretty dark.
Said Nita.
Yes, that's right. Can you guess what zone we're in?
Asked Teacher Zara. I would guess the Twilight Zone, answered Salim.
That's right,
answered their teacher.
Now take a look at what's growing here. Can you see?
The children looked and saw so many animals growing on the rocks.
What are they? Corals?
Asked Uzma. I think they're sponges, said Amir.
Amir is right,
said Teacher Zara.
Corals need more sunlight to grow, but not the sponges. They are also invertebrates. They grow here because they don't have to compete with corals. But what do they eat?
Asked Uzma.
If there are no plants down here...
She trailed off. The teacher answered.
They eat what we call sea snow. It's dead animals and animal droppings that float down here. The sponges act like, well, sponges. They clean out the water. That's amazing,
said Nita. As they headed up, they soon saw corals, sand, and the sunlight.
Now, children, look at that sea cucumber in the sand,
said the teacher. You're making me hungry again mentioning cucumbers, said Amir. The children laughed.
I don't want to eat that,
said Uzma.
Well, believe it or not, many people in Asia love to eat sea cucumbers,
explained Teacher Zara.
Well, maybe if it's cooked the right way,
said Uzma.
Sea cucumbers can live here in the shallow ocean or deep on the ocean floor. They eat algae, tiny animals, or even waste or sea snow, like the sponges,
explained the teacher. They're like the earthworms of the ocean, said Salim.
That's right,
agreed Mrs. Zara.
Now keep your eyes open and see if you can see any other invertebrates,
Teacher Zara instructed. The children watched as many sea creatures like fish, sharks, and rays swam past. Only Amir noticed when they were close to a starfish. A starfish is an invertebrate, he exclaimed, excited.
That's exactly right,
Teacher Zara said.
This one is small, but they can grow up to 9 inches big and weigh 11 pounds,
she explained.
Wow, and how do they eat?
Asked Uzma.
I don't see a mouth anywhere. The mouth is on the bottom,
Nita said.
I learned that at an aquarium once. That's right,
agreed the teacher.
They eat by shooting their stomach out of their mouth. The stomach wraps around the clam or oyster they're eating. Then the stomach finally goes back inside their body.
Is that a starfish too? Asked Salim, pointing. It must have 10 arms.
Yes,
Teacher Zara said.
Some starfish have up to 40 arms. Plus, they can grow new arms if they ever lose one,
she said.
That's amazing,
said the kids. All this talk about food and eating made me so hungry, said Amir, pulling out a snack. The children agreed and all pulled some snacks out of their backpacks before continuing on their ocean adventures.
Subscribe today, only on Muslimkidstv.
Odyside News, your eye on side. Good day, everyone. Lajan Naba here. Odyside News, where science meets history that you've never heard before. United Nations World Health Assembly Committee gathered today in New York City to discuss a recent epidemic that is similar to smallpox. The World Health Assembly declared smallpox eradicated or eliminated in 1980. According to the world records, the last natural outbreak of smallpox happened in the United States of America in 1949. And ever since, no cases of naturally occurring smallpox have happened since. Doctors and experts in this field are confused with this new epidemic because it's very similar to smallpox. Let's welcome Ms. Fala, our topic expert, to give us more insight with the news. Only on Odyside News. Thank you again for coming, Miss Fala. It is always amazing to have you here on Odyside News.
Thank you, Miss Loijan, and as usual, you are not saying my name right. Nope, it's Hala, H-A-L-A.
I know your name very well, Miss Fala, and I do apologize if I'm not pronouncing it correctly. Isn't it Fala, Miss Fala?
It's Hala, Hala, Hala.
I am so glad I'm saying it correct. Thanks, Miss Fala. Can you give us information on what's happening in New York City?
Of course, Miss Loijan. Smallpox is an awful illness. When people became ill with smallpox, they got sores on their body that were painful. Smallpox also produces a fever. Up to 30% of people who got smallpox naturally died from it.
That is horrible.
That is why vaccinations are an important medical advancement that saves us from getting deadly illnesses. Without vaccinations, many people would die of illnesses like the measles, smallpox, the mumps, and more.
I hope my mother vaccinated me. Ma, text me, please.
It is easy enough for you to know if you've been vaccinated or not. Just call up your doctor or local health center. They should have a copy of it.
I will get on that right away. Thank you, Miss Fala. But Ma, please text me. Confirm that I've been vaccinated. Call me here on Odyssean News. How did they invent vaccinations?
Before vaccines, Muslims developed a common practice called variolation. They used this practice to help people get a mild version of smallpox. Then, after they recovered, they would no longer get a serious case of smallpox. People who were variolated were much less likely to die.
Oh, may Allah bless those people that invented this process.
Ameen. Variolation was a popular practice in the Ottoman Empire that helped create one of the most important advancements in modern medicine. Variolation, or vaccination practices, spread quickly when a British ambassador's wife, Lady Montagu, visited the Ottoman Empire where she learned about it. She had her own children variolated so that they wouldn't get a more serious version of smallpox while visiting. Then she took this idea back to England.
Wow, these Muslims have changed the world health forever.
That's correct, Miss Loijan. This same practice is still being applied today when a new epidemic is discovered.
We sure are blessed with this vaccination. And thank you, Miss Nala, for such interesting facts. And these are only available on Odyssean News.
Miss Loijan, it's Hala. Hala, not Fala. Ah! My name is Hala. Hala.
Well, I think all this reporting must be stressing Miss Fala. I should be the one stressed, not knowing if my mother vaccinated me or not. Ma, please text me or call me. Please. Thank you again, Miss Fala. We look forward to hearing from you again. Not screaming, though. Odyssean News. Let's all make sure that we get our vaccination, can we? It is not only helping yourself, but it also prevents it from spreading around. This is Loijan Naba, and we hope to see you again here on Odyssean News, your eye on side.
Subscribe today, only on Muslimkidstv.
Salim, Uzma, Nita, and Amir greeted their new science teacher. They were all sitting outside in the soft green grass outside their school.
Today, we're going to learn about something very special,
announced the teacher. On a blanket on the grass, Mrs. Zainab dumped out a pile of rocks and stones from a bag. The children immediately began looking at them and touching them. "We're going to learn about rocks?" asked Salim.
Exactly,
answered the teacher.
Look, this one is smooth and black,
observed Uzma, handling one of the stones.
And this one has specks of all kinds of colors,
noticed Nita, looking at another stone.
Rocks are made up of minerals,
explained the teacher.
Some rocks have only one mineral, while others are a mix. Look around us. Rock is everywhere,
said Teacher Zainab. What do you mean everywhere? Asked Amir, confused. The children looked around them at their school, the sidewalk, trees, and street. They didn't see rocks anywhere.
Let me explain. For example, look at the windows on our school. Glass is made of quartz sand, a kind of rock. So the windows are made of rock?
Wondered Uzma.
Exactly,
said Mrs. Zainab.
Now look at our school building,
the teacher instructed.
It's made of concrete, which is made with limestone and sand. Those are two kinds of rock.
Wow, said Salim. There really is rock all around us.
Yeah, we're even sitting on rock,
said Nita.
I mean, below the grass and dirt.
The children giggled. Yeah, isn't there rock deep in the earth? Asked Amir.
That's exactly correct,
replied the teacher.
Our planet is made mostly of rock. Now, does anyone know the name of a scientist who studies rock?
She asked.
A rockologist?
Asked Nita. The kids laughed. A rockin' scientist, giggled Amir.
The real name is a geologist,
Mrs. Zainab said, smiling.
What do geologists do?
Asked Uzma.
Well, they study rocks, how they're formed, what they're made of, the fossils in them, how rocks move, and more,
explained the teacher.
People have been using rocks for thousands of years. Just look at this arrowhead.
The teacher showed the children a pointy arrowhead from her collection.
Wow.
Whoa, said the kids in amazement. Is that a real arrowhead? Asked Salim.
Yes, it is,
answered the teacher.
It's thousands of years old. People made these and other tools from rocks. In fact, metals also come from rock. There really are a lot of rocks around us, exclaimed Nita. So, would you like to be geologists with me and study about rocks?
Asked the teacher. Yes! Yelled the children, ready for a rockin' adventure.
Subscribe today. Subscribe today. Only on Muslimkidstv.